Everyone, welcome to our first tutorial on using QGIS. We will basically walk through the QGIS Training Manual. That latest version that I have is for September 11, 2016. One of the big advantages I think of using the QGIS Training Manual is that you have all of the data available. So I would recommend you to, just download the training manual, which is available in the link below, and start by reading the introduction. You will see that the training manual is organized in several modules, and we will start with the second module, which is basically explaining the interface of the QGIS software. So once you've started QGIS software, if you look at it, the way it is organized, it has basically four main components as main windows that you look for. The first one is the layers panel. So in the layers panel, all of the different data that you download will be seen. And then you have the different toolbars that are over here. Now, I should probably note that the toolbars do change depending on the different extensions, and we'll talk about extensions later, you have installed. And another important thing that we have in our QGIS interface is we've got the coordinates and the scales that we're using. We'll talk about these later as we go. And finally, you've got the main map canvas, which is over here. And in the main map canvas, your maps will show up. So the first thing we could start right by doing is to download the data that is provided in the link below. And once you've downloaded the data pertaining to the QGIS training manual, what you can do is just press this button over here, which if you actually hover over it, you will see that it says to add vector layer. So just choose and press this button and go to browse and navigate to the working directory where you got your data in. So in my case, I've just put it on my desktop in this layer over here. And we'll start by simply adding the training manual data, which is in this folder over here, the EPSG 4326. So you can actually choose what kind of data you want to add, and QGIS has this big advantage of actually allowing you to have so many different data formats. So if you go to file of type, you will have a huge list available of different files. So if you want to make your life easier in the sense that you don't have to see all of the different files you're going to download, you can just go and choose shapefile, and it will highlight you all the shapefiles you have. In that case, in our first lecture, we'll actually just use the shapefiles that we have as a vector. So let's add these. And on a Mac, you can just press Command and just select all of them that you want to add to your project. Okay, and once you add this, you will see that you come back to the Source tab window, and you just press Open, and all of the different layers are added to your map canvas. So one of the interesting things, though, is that usually when you're working with maps, you do want to have a scale that's more or less uniform. So you can change the scale by just pressing on the scale here and choosing the scale you want to have. So I'll choose 1 to 100,000, and as you can see, it zooms immediately to that 1 to 100,000 view. But you can also zoom in by pressing and right-clicking the different layers you have. So for example, if I want to zoom to a given extent of the buildings layer, I'll just right-click that and choose Zoom to Layer. And you can see now the finer grained details of the buildings I have. Obviously, I can do that for the other layers as well. So for example, I can press on Places, Zoom to Layer, and it'll zoom to extent of places that I have. Another interesting thing that you can do with the QGIS environment to work with layers is if you have these check buttons over here, you can just click on them and hide the different layers. Now, the different layers are still on the system and they're still running, but they cannot be seen. So basically you're just hiding them. For instance, if I don't need to use my places layer right now, I can just hide it by checking this button. But if I wanted, for example, to just show the places layer, I could just, hide all of them and choose just the places layer. And again, I can just by right clicking on it, zoom to the layer extent, so it has exactly the extent of, in this case, the layer rivers. So that's pretty easy to do. And one of the things that I should note is that layers are organized as well by by a certain order. So the layers that I have on top, in this case buildings, will be, and I'll just use a different zoom button, which is over here, for example, this zoom button here, the zoom in button. And if I zoom in, we'll see that basically this layer is currently on top of the other ones. So it's just the top layer, the green buildings one. I can choose to drag it, so I just have to press the layers, for example, where the layer name is written, and just drag it below. So I can change the layer order. And in a GIS environment, this is very useful because this allows me to sort of get the works around creating maps that are more easy to visualize and that best show the information that you want to show. Okay, well, we'll talk about doing and basically putting in a map for printing purposes, a better visualization. It's interesting to note that we can just do this by the selection of different layers. So again, hide layers by checking it here, dragging layers by pressing a layer name and dragging it up or down so it have a different layer order. And finally, you can unhide them by pressing here. And finally, you can also zoom to a given layer by right-clicking, by right-clicking the layer and zoom to a layer. Here's our extend of the layer. Or you can zoom to different layers as well. Right-click and zoom to a layer. So you can zoom to the different layers you have to visualize a project. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching.